So this is the second part of the session with Dorado on day 9. And I'm just going back now and I'm touching his legs. And you see I'm actually on the inside of his leg with the stick. And that made him a little bit uncomfortable. So my goal is to kind of really prepare him by touching him with the stick, and not only not the same place, but in different places, so then when I go and touch him, he will be prepared for that. So you see he gets a little uncomfortable, but he did a really good job with that, as instead of just kicking out, he gave me fair warning that he was uncomfortable. So what I did is I went back and I waited until he just didn't move, and then I took the pressure away. And so now I'm going to send him and ask him to walk. And for him, it has been a little bit hard for him to kind of walk and move away from me. So I asked him to walk, and then now he's standing. I go back to touch, and he did a really good job of standing there and not moving around. So gave him a good rub. And now we're going to switch sides. So I asked for that shoulder to yield. It's getting much better. And then I go and I'm rubbing with the stick. Again, desensitizing. Rubbing him on top of the butt and then back to where he's comfortable. And now I'm going back down to the leg. Touching on the inside of the stifle. Inside of the hock. And that's just where he's a little sensitive. And again, he's giving me a good reaction. Not too violent about it, which is nice. And then I go and I give him a rub. And I make sure whenever he stands, I reward him by backing away out of the pressure. So now I'm going to ask him to walk. And I got a little lick and chew right there. And again, he's always wanting to come in. He's always asking to try to move me, which is always a fun game. So I have to stay really consistent with making sure he understands to walk forward. And then I ask him to yield. He did a really good job yielding his haunches. And now I'm asking the shoulders to move. And he's especially difficult going to the right still. He's gotten a lot better. And again, Mustangs are pretty left or right sided. Generally, they have a tougher time going to the right. We condition them by always going to the left, and then I am really comfortable going to the left side, so it always takes a little bit of practice for me as well with doing things on the right side. So now he's gotten much freer. He's walking a lot better. He's asking me less to come in. And so when he does ask, I stick my stick up to say, nope, we're still walking. And then when I want him to yield his haunches, I bend down and I put pressure with the stick. Adding pressure with the stick because he didn't understand. And then I tell him good boy and I give him a rub. Now he's starting to connect the dots with the positivity and the rubs. So I'm going again to ask him to back, and he's still wanting to get crooked. So again, it's good to focus on certain things and then change them up. So I went in the beginning of the session, I asked him to back, and then I went and played with his legs, and now I'm back to asking him to back again. So right there, I did a very light tap, and he got pretty offended by it. So I'm going back and I'm just giving him that suggestion, and then I tap him, and then you see he kind of just ignored it and wants to run through it. So I'm going to go back to tapping the air, and then I'm going to tap him, and still very lightly until he gives me that one step. All I'm looking for is that just that one step is all I need, and then I can build upon that. So then I'm asking again. He wants to turn away. I'll correct him. Ask again. Waiting. There. And then I back away. And tell him good boy. And I'm going to ask for it again. Lightly tap the chest a couple of times, waiting for him. Add a little bit more pressure. And there, when he responded, I took it off, and then I'm asking again. Now he's a little bit dull to it. So he's funny, so he can be really super sensitive, and then once you do lightly touch him, and then he kind of lays on it. So again, there's a varying pressure that he is trying to understand. So again, I want him to respond just when I tap the air. And so it's building upon building against those cues. There, that was much better. And now I go back to jumping up and down. And he's gotten much more comfortable with me doing this. Changing directions, moving my arms. Again, so he starts to understand what is a cue and what is just noise. And then I'm working on jumping up and down in his bubble, and you'll see I'll kind of like grab his neck and move his neck around. This is all preparation for when I do want to get on his back. So he can get used to me jumping up and down and touching him and moving his body a little bit. And now I go down to touch his leg, and that was really good. He handled that really well. And then I'm going to go and see how far. He got a little nervous, so I backed off. And then I'm going to go back down. And he allowed me to go all the way down to the fetlock that time. So each time, and he stands still, I'm going to back away and take that pressure off and then give him the rub as the reward. And then that time I was able to go even lower. Super good. And then I go back to rubbing and seeing how far I can get back by touching his back. And even now he's allowing me, again, it's that energy feeling. You can feel when they start to get comfortable, and then you can feel when they're not. And it's kind of like when they're not, you get that little bit of a pit in your stomach. So right there, I kind of gave him a kiss, and now he's starting to learn to kind of come up to me, which is a good feeling, in a nice lick and chew type of way. So here I'm working on touching the mid part of his back. He got a little flinchy there, so I go back up to where he's comfortable, then move back down, then take the pressure off. Again, start where he's comfortable and give him a little rub on the head. And now I'm going to, we had a little bit of flinch, so I'm going to start jumping up and down because he got worried with me. So now I'm going to change it a little bit. Again, this is to mimic me like bending down and coming back up. So I'm going to jump up and down and make loud stomping sounds, making sure my foot doesn't get caught in the rope. Now I'm going to go back and rub his face. And then let him think about it for a second. You see there he's got a lot of blinking. So there's some processing going on. So now I'm going to ask him to move off the pressure of the halter. I'm asking pretty lightly. And there he was pretty soft. So I was happy with that. Now I'm going to come back in and give him a rub. And go and I touch to just the forearm. Now I'm going back to my squats. Asking him to stand still and process. He is not sure what the crazy person is doing. But again, this is preparation for when I want to bend down to touch his leg or to pick up his foot. He'll get used to me being in kind of that awkward, low, bending down motion. Now I'm going to go ahead and make his shoulders move a little bit, changing it up some. Move the hiney a little bit. Move the shoulders. And then the haunches. Getting just a little bit of body control. and then giving him a reward. Now I'm going to go back to addressing touching him. And this time I was able to go all the way down on the front left. And then I go back and I rub his face. So I was super happy with ending the session with being able to touch both the front legs, and that was just a really good day.